everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about why I like to keep a multi-generational chicken flock or a chicken family. Chickens are social animals, and from that perspective, they naturally form a unit. For chickens, that's called a flock, and that flock is generally their family made up of related individuals. Social units, flocks, families, herds, whatever we want to call it, depending on what we're talking about, form culture over time in their unit. So we're going to talk about chicken family culture. So I like to think of my chicken family, my chicken flock, as having a culture. And all I mean by that is the shared knowledge that they have, each as individuals making up that flock unit, that they collectively understand things about their environment and about me that they can pass on through the generations. So they form a community that lives in a place and lives with me in that place, gaining knowledge and passing that knowledge on over time. This shared knowledge is usually a very useful thing to have in your flock. Mothers pass on lots of valuable information to their children about what to eat, what not to eat, where to find water, and things like how the seasons change and the different foods that are available in the landscape depending on the time. So all of that knowledge is kept and passed on and makes the flock much more efficient and makes my job as the flock keeper easier as well. Sometimes your flock having lots of shared knowledge and a way they like to do things is a little bit more annoying. For example, in my flock, they have decided that they are a chicken family that enjoys sleeping in trees. And there's not really much I can do about that. All the youngsters like to join their parents up in the trees once they can get there. But it's not too much of a concern here for me, so I just let them be a family of chickens who sleeps in trees. Another fantastic feature of having a multi-generational flock is when you bring new birds into your system, you're going to do it by a mother hen hatching eggs and bringing those babies into the family. That makes it just so much easier. The mother hen does all the work, and as the babies get older, the flock comes in to teach them how to be chickens and how to behave and all of those great things that they need to know. So from that perspective, that is fantastic, makes your job as a chicken keeper much easier. And integration, which can be a real problem when you're bringing adult or juvenile birds in from somewhere else and trying to bring them into a pre-existing flock, it can be a real challenge, and you don't have to worry about any of that when you're naturally bringing new chicks into your flock family by raising them from eggs with their mother. She is going to introduce them to the flock essentially from the day they hatch, and they're just going to grow up and everyone knows them and they know everyone. It works really well. A great advantage to raising chicks and growing them up into the flock this way is that you massively reduce the risk of diseases coming into your flock, because you are never bringing in juvenile or adult birds that have ever lived anywhere else. They only come in if you need new genetics as eggs that you will hatch in the flock system. So that dramatically decreases the risk of any nasty diseases or viruses, anything coming into your flock, because eggs are a much, much lower risk thing to bring onto your property than a bird that has been somewhere else before. When you have roosters in your flock, having a multi-generational flock is a really great way to ensure that you raise up really lovely roosters. When your young roosters are raised in a family situation where they have a mature rooster and a bunch of hens that are much older than them, They do not have the opportunity to develop bad habits or bad manners because they're told off pretty strongly when they step out of line. It's a really beautiful way to watch a rooster grow up and learn how to be a great rooster. They will learn how to look after their hens, to be respectful, and to take their hens around doing all the things that a rooster does, helping them find nesting spots and keeping a lookout for danger, and helping to raise their babies too. And when they have an example in a good flock rooster, they have a very high chance of turning out to be just fantastic as well. Now that is predicated on you having a good, mature flock rooster in the first place, that you have developed a good working relationship with. You want all of those good habits to be passed on and not bad habits to be passed on to another rooster. The thing that I love most about having a multi-generational flock is that it is self-sustaining. Every generation brings in more birds to your flock and it can continue on indefinitely. You might need to bring in some more genetics every so often with your hatching eggs, but in general, you have something, a system that is just going to keep naturally replenishing itself over time, which reduces your reliance on external factors like having to get new hens and roosters from a hatchery, raising up chicks, or just getting new birds in general every couple of years causes chaos and just general problems that you can avoid completely by just letting your flock naturally increase over time to replace any birds that are getting older. One of the most important things to me when I'm talking about self-sustainability in the flock is actually the stability, the sustainability of my relationship with that flock over time. Now, the flock is made up of individuals, and I know them individually, but what I'm talking about here is the flock as a unit and the relationship that I have with that whole flock, and the knowledge that I can build over time of what is normal for that flock. And I know the history. I've known fathers and mothers and aunts and cousins of all the birds that are currently in my flock. And that gives me a place to really understand them, and it gives the flock the time and the space to also understand me. And that is really important to my system here. When you bring in new birds all the time, it's really difficult to know what is normal for that set of birds. If you're changing them every 2 years, adding birds in, mixing things up, it's hard to know deeply what is the outcome and the normal for that flock. So I really like to know the history of the birds in my flock and to have known them over time and for them to know me. When you have a place, when you have animals in that place, it's a beautiful thing to build that relationship, that knowledge about your place and about your animals over time, and they build knowledge about you, and it is a relationship, and that is a really beautiful thing.